Welcome to What's Going On with Lady D today. I'm your host, Lady D. Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. for another breakthrough conversation. Be a guest on our show, 216-571-2235. Well, welcome to What's Going On with Lady D today, and I'm your host, Lady D. We're live here at KAZ Radio TV Network, located at 7100 Euclid Avenue. And we have a wonderful guest, no other, I must brag. She's my daughter, okay? And her name is Tory Wenson. She is a poet. She's a spoken with the spoken word. And she's a performer with poetry, also a wonderful school teacher. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
How you doing today?
It's been a busy day.
I know you're just getting back from school.
Yes, our first day back in the building, so it was definitely a busy day, but it was a good day nonetheless.
And if you don't mind, you want to share with us what school is it that you teach at?
I teach at Cleveland Heights High School. I teach ninth grade honors English.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And would you tell our audience, how long have you been teaching?
This will be my third year. I graduated from Kent in 22, and then I am actually going back to CSU next week to start my master's while I'm teaching. So it's going to be a busy semester.
You are very busy, and most, I must say, most talented.
Thank you.
Tell our listeners, give us a little bit of background on yourself.
Just overview of me?
Just a quick overview, where you're from and
Okay.
yeah.
I'm born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and I graduated from Warrensville Heights High School. I went to Kent for undergrad. I'm the youngest of 12, very close with my mom and dad. And then outside of me being a teacher, I am, like she said, a spoken word artist and a poet. So I write a lot in my free time. And I think that kind of balances out like my professional side, but also like feeding like my artistry. I also podcast often. I don't have my own platform, but would be my fourth podcast that I've been on. So I love like talking and having conversations and hosting stuff and just being a part of stuff. Like that is really like where I feel the most fulfilled outside of like my career.
Excellent. So tell me how and or why did you start writing poetry?
I started writing poetry around high school. I want to say about 14 or 15. And I always say like poetry is a gift that's given to you and then you choose whether you want to walk in it. And so I started writing, like just doodling little stuff in like my notes when I would be like in class and not paying attention. And then I started writing stuff like I really started to like it. So I started to share it with my sister, my older sister. And she was like, this is really good. So for a long time, I just shared it with her. And then when I went to college, like it was like college is a vast broad audience, so it would be like they was like I seen like open mic nights and poetry nights, and didn't see that stuff in high school. So
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start going, and I started going, and I got connected with a poet here in Cleveland. His name is Khalil. He go by Just Cuz, and I met him in college. And then when I graduated, he had already graduated before me. He had two different organizations put together, Poetry Unplugged, which is an open mic experience here in Cleveland, and the Sparrow's Fortune, which is a nonprofit organization. So I started going to their events, and then from there, I just kind of like blossomed into a real poet.
So this is your gift and you're expanding your talents.
Yes, 100%.
So
Yes.
now I'm going to flip back on the school teacher side because you are English teacher.
Yes.
So now how did you become choosing that as your major and what gratification are you getting from working with our students today?
So I chose to be a teacher. I made my final decision around my 11th grade year of high school. I was at an HBCU fair, and at first I was like, I'm a major in psychology. because I love talking to people.
Okay, okay.
And at the fair, I was talking to different colleges, was hearing about their programs, and somewhere along the way, they kept saying like, "You really sound and look like an educator." And sometimes I hate people like I hate when someone tries to define you, but sometimes you have to realize when it's God giving you a sign, like this might be something you should gravitate towards. So I started looking it up and really like diving into it. And then I always said if I was to teach, I would have did English because I love to write.
Okay.
And I always felt like that was a gift I had, and I wanted to help other students find their voice in their writing. So after that fair, I talked to my English teacher at the time. Her name is Mrs. Freeman. She was like my favorite English teacher ever. I love her. And she was like, you should do it. She was like, you'll be a great teacher. And so I applied to Kent that following fall of my senior year, got in, and I got into their program, and I started to love it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to change my major. This is what I want to do. And yeah, and I love teaching. Honestly, like, I always feel like I wear these two hats because I have like this professional side, and then I have like my other professional side, which is my artistry. But teaching fulfills me in a different way because I'm every day I'm interacting and touching our future, and that is so important because these kids need to see good role models. They need to see people that not only look like them but believe in them and that can push them in better directions, because I'm sure you know you raised a child that our youth can sometimes be so fragile and succumb to like very very negative things, whether it be violence, drugs, just going down the wrong path, jail. And it's like high school is the last place where we get to really like put our hands in their lives before they touch that real world. So I
Yes,
knew I wanted to teach high school. So that's what I'm doing.
that's great. And do you share your poetry with your students, or they have an opportunity to write, or?
Yeah, so at the beginning of the school year, I always do like a get to know me activity, and like I do tell them that I do poetry. And then when I'm teaching certain things, like I do like a small poetry unit with one of our books that we read, and I'll tell them like I do poetry, and I always say y'all want to hear some, and they always like yeah, and I'll share a poem with them. But I also run a spoken word club at school every Wednesday from 3 to 5:30, and I have Poetry Unplugged comes in and they do a workshop with the kids, and I participate, and we held our first annual spoken word show last April, and it was ran and put together by me and a colleague by Miss Essence, and then the Poetry Unplugged Foundation, and it was beautiful. So we are starting that back up in the fall. So I have definitely brought poetry into my career, which is like that was like it was God. I was just like I want to start a spoken word club here. My principal was like go ahead, and I did it, and it was, and the kids love it. We have about 7 consistent members, but after our spoken word show that we had in April, I have a lot of other kids that are interested. So hopefully this year it grows and we have more numbers and we just get more kids into writing and expressing their feelings.
So let me ask you, so the students, can they come from other high schools,
So
or
I'm
do they
actually working
have
on a
to?
project right now with Wall Street West. He is another Cleveland poet and business owner, and he wants to do a citywide poetry slam with all the high schools. So we're trying to get this type of spoken word club in as many high schools as we can, and I have to reach out to the schools and see who will be willing to provide funding to start the club in other schools. Like mine was kind of like piloting it and seeing how it works.
Right.
So so no, they can't. You can't come from another school to be in the club because it is for Cleveland High School members only,
Uh-huh.
safety reasons and
Right.
things
I
like that.
understand that.
But
Yes.
we're trying to get something like this across all high schools. And with Wall Street West heading the project, we are definitely going to get it off the ground. So yeah.
I love it. I love it because we need to have variety and give them exposure.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like yourself, you went to college, you got your degrees, you're going back, but then every student is not going to go to college.
No, they're not.
And so, and each individual, we're all blessed with our talents.
Mm-hmm.
So you just got to be exposed and find what you're good at.
Yeah, and then I feel like everybody has a gift and they might be exposed to it, but they feel like they don't have the tools or the resources to cultivate that garden and to really pour into it. So what I love about my spoken word club that I've started, it's become a mini safe space for these kids to come in there. And I've learned so much about their home experiences, about their personal feelings, about themselves and others around them through their poetry. And that's the beautiful thing about poetry, it's freedom in it, and you can't hide from yourself when you're writing. And it's been beautiful to watch those kids like just really like bask in that artistry. And I feel like I'm helping them find a part of themselves that they can water and grow, and so they can do that for somebody else down the line. So definitely. And back to the college thing. Another thing, reason why I wanted to teach high school is because not every kid has to go to college to be successful.
Exactly.
And especially depending on what you want to do. Like if you want to be, a business owner, or a nurse, you can go to nursing school, you can go to a certain business school, or you can, if you want to take up a trade, or you want to do hair, or you want to be a barber, go to barber school, go to hair school. Your destiny and your journey does not always have to be the college route. But I feel like high schools pour collegiate mindset into our kids, which isn't a bad thing because college is a wonderful experience. I did it, but it's not for everybody. It's certain tools and certain mindsets you have to get through college because it's hard and it's not for everybody at all.
Right,
So I always
right.
say choose wisely. Depending on if you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, I mean, you have to go to college.
And you're so young.
I am young.
You're such a baby because you are the youngest
I'm the youngest.
of the Winston sisters. And how old are you, Tori?
I am 24.
So, see, you can really relate and you can build a bonding relationship.
I feel like that's where I shine the most as a teacher. With my interpersonal relationships, because I am closer to their age. I'm like, my kids are coming in at 14, I'm 24, so we're 10 years apart. And I can relate to them and make those relationships and just really be a source of comfort and community for the kids, really. Of course, I'm their teacher first, but after that, I've been a counselor, I've been a mother, I've been a nurse. You need a Band-Aid. I've been a lot of things for my students, and I think it just surpasses anything I can teach them when it comes to reading and writing. Like, I want them to walk out of my classroom a better person, not just like a better reader and writer.
Right.
So, yeah.
Because reading and writing is very important and being
Extremely
able to
important.
comprehend what you read.
Hello.
Okay. So now I would like for you to give our listeners just a little touch of your poetry. Give them a little taste because, I mean, I know you do these shows and we're going to get into talking about that as well.
Okay. A little taste. Okay. I'll do a snippet of a poem that I've been doing. I don't,
Okay.
cause a lot of my poetry is like performance where I'm standing up, so it's hard doing it sitting down.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try it.
Okay.
Okay. This poem is titled Mother Daughter. I'm my mama's baby, last child, seventh girl, came into this world kicking and screaming, just needing to be close to her. And we became attached, connected, reflections. And one of the things me and my mama got in common is we both ain't never been loved. See, my mother gave all her woman away to men who talked a good game but never walked one. See, she fell in love for fun. She loved on purpose but always ended up hurt by accident because she sang love to men who had deaf ears, painted love for men who were colorblind, wrote poetry for men who would never read between the lines. See, I watched my mother love men for a living just to never get paid. Made a home for a man, but only ended up getting laid because the only place men occupied was her bed. My own father soaked up my mama's high yellow skin like she was sunshine, told her sweet lies, and he was always her saddest goodbye. See, he hugged her in the day and let her go in the night as he went to the home created by his wife. See, I watched my mother share my father with another woman. My mother, an only child, who ain't never have to share a house, a toy, a meal, or a bed, but somehow she learns how to share a man. My mama ain't never been kept. And me, I ain't never found a man I wanted to keep.
All right.
If you want to hear the rest of it, you can go watch it on my page, Only One Tory.
All right. And then give them that information again. Where can they find and listen to some of your poetry?
You can find and listen to my poetry on my Instagram page, Only One Tory, and the one is spelled out, so it's ONLYONETORY. And I also am having an up-and-coming YouTube page that I've been trying to work on the side of all the other stuff I do. And it's at Tory is a Poet, and I'm going to start posting more videos. I do have one up, but I'm going to start posting more videos. And find me at shows in Cleveland. Y'all, we have such an amazing art scene in Cleveland when it comes to poetry. You have Poetry Unplugged. You have People Love Poetry. You have the People Poetry Slam. You have the Sparrow's Fortune that runs amazing workshops. Come to these events. Come to these spaces. Follow these pages on Instagram and come see these artists. And if you are up and coming artists, come and learn and watch and grow because there's so much here in Cleveland for poetry. Like, it's growing so much. The time is now to come.
That's right. And because that's a form of art.
Yes.
And I love it because our city is really showing a lot of art, giving
Mm-hmm.
the artists places where they can put these beautiful artwork on our abandoned buildings
Mm-hmm.
and buildings just to beautify our city.
Yes.
Cleveland has so much talent.
And we should be known more for our artistry. I mean, I've met so many people through our poetry scene that also paint, that sing, that rap, that draw, that do so much. I mean, Cleveland is full of art. Like if you look at our past and our history, our downtown, it resembles other big downtowns such as New York and things like that. Like we have art here, and I wish we talked about it more. I wish it was broadcasted more, and I wish we were known more for that and not like some the certain cynical things that are usually put in the media because there's so much positivity here.
Yes, it is. May I ask you, so who inspired you to start writing?
God.
God.
Yes.
You can't go wrong with God.
I swear, I would say my when it comes to inspiration, my writing comes from my experiences. Like that poem "Mother Daughter" that I just gave y'all a snippet of. That's a real experience, and through writing that, I've been able to heal with my mother and my father and men relationships. And just kind of get things out. So I feel like my experiences of growing up as a younger child, I had a bird's eye view of my parents and my siblings because I was watching everything they did, and I was like saying, I'm gonna do that, I'm not gonna do that, and all those things. And so
Mm-hmm.
those experiences made me pour into my writing. Alongside that, writers such as Nikki Giovanni, Alice Walker. I mean, The Color Purple changed my life. Watching that and reading that was amazing.
What did you take away from that? What was your takeaway from Alice Walker?
For Alice Walker, so I'm currently reading her collection of. It's called "In Search of Our Mother's Gardens," and
Okay.
it's like an essay book about her different experiences growing up. From The Color Purple, like what I take away from that?
Yes.
Okay, so from watching that movie, I took away that the don't nobody hold the world in their hand like a woman. For one, you have Celie who went and was forced to go marry this man, and she took care of not only his kids but his house, him, everything he did, and she held it all in her hands while also battling being called ugly and you not good enough and you ain't worth nothing. But when she left Mister, everything he touched turned. He was nothing without her.
Right.
And women, I have a poem. It's called "Selfish," and I say we turn a house into a home, food into a child, seed food into a meal, seed into a child, and boys into men. And that's literally what women do. And alongside that, I took away just the power of sisterhood. Me having 7 sisters and watching Celie and her sister and Nettie never, literally nothing could keep them from each other. Even the distance, they still was always connected. Even though Celie wasn't getting her letter, she felt her sister. Um, and also just the last thing I took away from it was the way that women were treated and how things are repeated in terms of the abuse and the neglect that women go through and how history constantly repeats itself. Although we know we have a much better society, everyday women are still abused, they're still molested, they are still mishandled, not given the rights that they deserve, and it's we just have to keep fighting. We have to keep pushing forward and telling our stories and being real and not being afraid to say this is what I went through and I'm not gonna be quiet.
That's right. That's right. Because it's healing
It's
and it will
healing.
heal you. So never hold that type of information inside. Find someone to share it with, and feel free to come out and check out Tory Wenson. So, what do we have next coming from you?
I'm working on a book. The manuscript is finished. I'm working with my mentor Morgan Page. We're gonna go through the pages and edit it and see, what we want to keep, get rid of, what we want to change. Get a mentor if you're a writer. It will change your life. And we're gonna look at some publishing options, whether we're gonna self-publish or find a publisher. I also want to release some more visuals to go along with my poetry. I have 2 shows coming up. I have a show September 28th. It is a feature, and it will be in Parma. It will partner with People Love Poetry. So a feature means that you get to see me on stage doing multiple poems. So if you
Awesome.
liked what you just heard, come to that show. And then the second show is this Saturday. So it's kind of like soon. But
Okay, this Saturday, give us the
this
information.
Saturday in Columbus, Ohio, I will be at Hot Sauce Poetry, which is an organization in Columbus that reached out to me to come and feature. So again, now you will see me on stage doing multiple poems. The show is from 7:30 to 10. So if you are from Columbus or are close to Columbus or want to travel there to see some poetry, come to Hot Sauce Poetry. You can find the flyer on my page with all of the information with the address.
Excellent. Give them your page information again.
So you can find me on Instagram at only one Tory. And you can find me on YouTube at Tory is a Poet. And yeah, those are my two main socials.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I know you're gonna have a wonderful school teaching year. The students are in for a treat. They're gonna not only know how to read, but they're gonna learn how to write, and they're gonna get skilled.
They are.
Excellent, excellent. So, without further ado, I do want to just make this little big announcement because it's nothing small. On August 31st, from 1 to 5, Lady Gilmore and myself, we will be doing a community event, which is our back to school drive. It will be held, yes, at our favorite themes, which is located at 12730 Larchmere. We'll also have back to school entrepreneurs. We're going to have our Youth on the Rise entrepreneurs will be there. So please come and check us out. Thank you for tuning in with Lady D, and I'll see you next week. Now that's what's going on. Thanks for watching. Join us every Thursday, and you too can be a guest straight from KAZ Radio Podcast Studio.